Kashmir, nourished by rivers and lakes, protected by a mountain range. When civilizations figured out how to cross the Himalayas and reach the valley, Kashmir welcomed traders and travelers and later even assimilated invaders, creating a composite culture of many religions and communities over centuries. When India and Pakistan were created in 1947, Kashmir was an independent state with a Muslim majority population ruled by a Hindu king. Even before Kashmir could decide on her status, an impatient Pakistan with British backing annexes some of the Muslim majority regions, creating communal discord and chaos. Kashmir turns to India for help. India sets a condition: accede and we will help. So Kashmir accedes to India with the promise of autonomy within the Indian Union territory. This extraordinary situation, which led to Kashmir's accession to India, has not been accepted by Pakistan for the last 7 decades. So since 1947, Kashmir has suffered Pakistan-sponsored militancy, border disputes with China, countermeasures by the Indian Armed Forces, and the homegrown factions of militants that have been created by these factors. Over years, this has driven wedges between communities within the state, irreparably damaging its centuries-old philosophy of Kashmiriyat. Despite which, Kashmir has still elected 11 legislative assemblies and continues to struggle for a new normalcy.
Kashmir is one of the most disputed places on Earth. Over the course of 70 years, it's been at the center of 3 wars, fought between 2 massive armies. It's heavily occupied by more than 500,000 Indian troops and a deadly collection of militias and terrorist groups. Kashmir is the stage for the relentless conflict between India and Pakistan. But focusing on these 2 countries can obscure what's really at stake: the voice of Kashmiris who are caught in a vicious cycle of violence.
देखो इधर कितना आर्मी है, कितना फौज है, रास्ते में चलने नहीं देता, वो डंडे के साथ मार खत्म
ये कश्मीर है। आज मैंने इतना देखा, कल फिर से बंद होगा, फिर मुझे देखना पड़ेगा, फिर मुझे गालियां खानी पड़ेगी, फिर मुझे सेंट्रल जेल जाना पड़ेगा। मतलब इतना मुझसे बर्दाश्त नहीं होता है अब।
Always uncertainty. You never know what is going to happen.
It can be a hartal, it can be a strike, anybody can be killed anytime.
We are the pawns in their hands.
It's a mess. It is a mess, and we have been affected in every possible direct and indirect way.
I have been born in this conflict and I have to die within this conflict.
Kashmir is one of the most strategic places in the world, where 3 powerful countries collide: India, Pakistan, and China.
Just because of this conflict, we are losing our young generations because we are getting killed.
Every second day we hear a news that 2 boys were killed, 3 boys were killed, and there is anger, among young generation.
There are psychological effects of the conflict. Okay, everybody is facing some sort of problem in Kashmir.
Hopelessness is everywhere due to this conflict.
When you snatch pens from youth, you are yourself forcing them to pick up guns.
India's nationwide lockdown of more than 1.3 billion people during the COVID-19 pandemic is slowly drawing to a close after several months. But in India's conflict-driven Kashmir region, a separate, longer-lasting lockdown shows no signs of ending. The region has been under military lockdown since August 5, 2019, the day the government of Prime Minister Narendra Modi revoked a law granting Kashmir limited autonomy. Modi's government claims the lockdown is necessary to ensure security in a restive region. Critics say it's the latest in a long list of repressive measures enforced in Kashmir. The region is currently the most militarized place in the world, and this military has been implicated in numerous human rights violations, including rapes, disappearances, extrajudicial killings, and torture. 6 weeks before the COVID pandemic hit India, Weiss travelled north to Jammu and Kashmir to hear firsthand how decades of living in a climate of crisis and the region has affected the mental health of the people.
With the 3 decades of conflict and trauma, we have huge burden of anxiety and depression here in this area. Although most of the people are resilient, they tend to cope with their own coping mechanism.
This is Dr. Majid Shafi, the lone psychiatrist for a district of more than 1 million people. When we arrived, the waiting room of a small clinic was already full. By the 1990s, a homegrown militant movement rose out of the fight against the Indian state and began to attack military posts in the region. The government responded with harsher crackdowns, and the conflict quickly became defined by a rhythm of rights violations perpetrated by the Indian state. NSF reports have indicated that close to 45% of the population in Kashmir suffer from some kind of mental distress. The numbers since August 2019 have been on the rise, and the continuation of the lockdown is only affecting it further.
Post-traumatic stress disorder, but I don't call it post-traumatic stress disorder. But here it is not post, it's traumatic stress disorder. People are suffering it in the real trauma and they have every chance of being exposed to trauma again and again.
जेलूं की ये जुनून, इस तरह मैं बहुत ज़्यादा स्ट्रेस में हूँ, बहुत ज़्यादा मेंटली मैं डिस्टर्ब हूँ, मुझे बिल्कुल समझ नहीं आ रहा है कि मैं करूँ तो करूँ क्या. मतलब स्टिल मेरी जो मुसीबतें हैं, मुश्किलें अभी भी ख़त्म होने का नाम नहीं.
I just want to get a freedom, to get a right to do everything. As a teenager, I have big dreams, but as a Kashmiri, the dreams are suppressed here.